Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Perspective. This week, I am joined with Slackasaurus, the jungler for 9 lives. Slack, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I had plenty of sleep this morning after it was a pretty long night last night, but I'm doing right.
All right. So, Slack, how did you end up hearing about the LCUS?
Yeah, one of my good buddies ended up joining it back at what was it, Split 5, beginning of Split 5, and told us all about it, so I kind of looked into it and joined the community. Unfortunately, it's been a very long wait for Split 6, but that's besides the point. Yeah, that's when I ended up hearing about it, was through my buddy.
So, longtime fan, first time player. How long have you been playing League?
Oh, I've been playing League since just about the end of season 4. I remember like one of the first champions that like I saw like a genuine trailer for was Azir, and I remember so clearly. I was so confused because part of the trailer was like the Shuriman King, or the Shuriman Emperor has returned, and I just remember going like mentally thinking like, oh, is this a champion that used to be in the game that they took out of the game and then they brought back? And I was so confused.
Yeah, it's really cool story building stuff. That it's almost like shocking to be like Azir season 4. That's like forever ago.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, like for me, like I listen to a lot of like the Riot Games music stuff on like Spotify, literally all the time,
Hmm.
and Um, and one of my favorite things that I like to do with like my other friends that play League is like if we're in like a car ride, I'll like bring it up. I'll be like, guess this champion's theme, and I'll like do like Darius from like season 2. I want to say it's season 2, and they're like, wow, this is season 2, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of stupid on how old he is.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. For a while there, they were only pumping out like 2 champions a year, something like that, 2, 3 champions a year.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of champions, is do you have a favorite champion? Like, it can be either just the champion's design, or they're just a really fun kit to play, or maybe you just like their appearance. Do you have a favorite
So
champion?
I have a few of favorite champions. So my favorite champion overall is Teemo. I know uh I get attacked for that a lot, but um in all seriousness, yeah, Teemo I would definitely say is one of my favorite champions just because like how cute and adorable he is and how rage inducing he is for others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the other big thing, or other big champion that I would say I like genuinely like is Kindred, solely for her lore or their lore, I guess. I absolutely love it. Like their story is, I would like to think, is one of the best stories. Also, you can't go wrong with Matt Mercer voicing Wolf. So.
You said it. I really like Kindred's design actually as well. Very unique, especially at the time that she released. Very unique design and very fun to play. Do you have a favorite like skin or skin line? Maybe the Spirit Blossom line for because Kindred just got that, or something else.
So I'm really excited that Kindred got a skin for Spirit Blossom. What's very interesting about that is that like Kindred, like you look at like Yone or you look at like Yasuo or Riven or Cassiopeia and all of them with like their Spirit Blossom line, it's like, oh, they have a different embodiment of like one of the great spirits in the afterlife. But then like you have Spirit Blossom Kindred and it's just like this is what Ionia thinks of Kindred. Because Kindred is already a spirit. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting on that. But that's so my favorite skin line. as much as I would like to like just like cop out and be like, oh, Star Guardians or like Project,
Right.
um, it's difficult to say. I really like the like Warring Kingdoms or like that series.
Right. There's some pretty good skins in there.
It's like it's almost traumatizing at the same point as I like them. Um, I love like Warring Kingdoms Vi, for example, like the um all the particles on her attacks are like absolutely insane. But when I say traumatizing, I mean Garen.
Right.
And I'm gonna be 100% real with you. I cannot remember a single time I've ever won lane against a Garen that has used Warring Kingdom's Garen. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like a mental thing or a pay to win skin, but every time he uses his E, I feel like it's much like smaller than what it is. And I feel like it also does way more damage. And it just throws me off. So I would definitely say Warring Kingdoms. If it's like a dedicated skin though, um, skin, not splash art. Ravager Nocturne. It's an older skin,
Okay.
um, and it doesn't really highlight his blue blades and his splash art. So I like that for how they had like the splash art versus in game. Um, and before they absolutely like took the like major reason why I like this skin, um, it's Dark Flame Shyvana.
Okay.
Before they, I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember when they reworked Shyvana?
Yeah, I do.
It was like a mini rework. It wasn't a full rework. Where when she used to press her W while when she was in dragon form, it essentially left like a miniature rumble ulti in her wake. And with Dark Flame, it literally made it so it looked like a tainted soil from like Morgana, but in like Shyvana, and I thought it was like so cool. But fortunately, they got rid of that. So
Yeah, there's a few visual updates that kind of made me a little bit sad at how they turned out and didn't do quite as much justice to some of the skins that they did in the past.
absolutely, and I really hope that I know that she was one of the 5 champions that was on the list when they asked, like for example, with like the Fiddlesticks and Volibear, because if I remember correctly, the 5 champions was Fiddlesticks, Volibear, Shyvana, Nocturne, and oh god, why can't I remember the last one? Was it Udyr? It might have been Udyr.
It might have been Udyr. I feel like he needs a little bit of attention. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the 5. But yeah, I imagine that I know that she's on the list due to the fact that they did that. But when she will end up actually getting it, I don't know. I look forward to it. She's like my 4th most played champion. So
All right, focusing a little bit more on your interaction with the league of this great place of the LCUS. Is there a matchup you're excited to see? Maybe your buddy that brought you in the leagues in here on a different team and you really want to beat him up or something? Or is there two teams you want to see head off, two players you want to see head off? What are you grabbing that bag of popcorn for?
so there's 2 matchups I'm looking forward to. And the first thing is, I'd be a fool if I didn't say I was looking forward to Rolex versus J Dog. Um, MMR wise, they are the two of the some of the highest, and they keep having they keep poking fun at each other in the Discord and everything else. So I'm really excited to
All
see
right.
in an actual game when they throw down who wins that lane.
You want to see him
Um,
smash heads and hopefully Rolex comes out on top for you guys, right?
absolutely. Um, outside of that, um, I this is something that can't be hidden. The War of the Dinos, Truffle and I versus Gregosaurus.
I
Um,
I will have you know, Truffle, I believe, did beat Greg on that back in the day.
if I No, he didn't.
It was.
Greg beat him
Oh, it
both
was the other way
games, and it
around.
was a
That's right.
smash.
I
It was
am
a
mistaken.
smash. I ended up watching that VOD review, and it was a smash. Now, if I do say so myself, Greg sat back quite a bit because he was playing support, and he played
He
Lulu both games.
he was support that split. That is right. So
And that's back season, what was that, season 6 or season 7, when Lulu Twitch was the meta, or Lulu Trist, or Lulu with anyone. It was the Ardent Sensor meta.
right, super safe enchanter
So
meta. Yeah.
I'm not gonna eh, take that dominant win in air quotes with a grain of salt, because Truffle definitely played well. He was jungle at the time, um, but now it's Truffle versus Greg in the mid lane, and Truffle's got some backup coming from the jungle. So we'll see how it goes.
Just to clear things up, you have no affiliation with the Rexes other than the Dino War, correct?
Absolutely,
Just a coincidence.
a 100% coincidence. It's very interesting. There's a lot of us. I have about like 8 different people in my friends list that has a similar name to me that I have never like had any previous communication with other than just through League.
I believe I actually saw another Saurus Rex in the Twitch chat during some of the games yesterday, also. So it's just
Correct.
you're all coming out in force, just really trying to invade the LCUS here.
Yeah, and maybe if we have enough people, or enough of us available and willing, we might end up joining forces for
And
Split
making your
7.
very own Dino team
Oh yeah.
surge to the top. Um, Before games, do you have any like, or maybe after games, rituals that you do, like any routines you do to get in the mentality of a game, or maybe decompress after a game?
Not really. Um, I mean, like before I ended up um before I ended up starting this week, I definitely um went downstairs, grabbed myself a glass of milk, um, and just chugged that before a game. So I guess maybe that.
Okay, make it a routine, and maybe the performances start to grow. Who
I
knows?
don't know because that was a 0-2 week. So we'll
See,
see.
was it milk or was it chocolate milk?
It was just standard milk. I
Well,
might have to like switch up
chocolate
to like
milk is the superior milk, so
absolutely. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
see, I'm helping you try to like find that uh where you need to be, you know.
Mhm.
So first time in the LCUS, how's it been? How's your experience been with the league so far? You were a viewer last season. You're in the thick of it now. You got 1 week under your belt. How you feeling?
Well, so not only was I a viewer, well, I started as a viewer last split. I do want to point out that I was a caster for uh for 2 weeks near
I
the
do
end.
recall that actually. Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. Um, and that's kind of what brought me into this was because um, Greg called me out saying that he felt like he was better than me, and I said, well, why don't we join forces? So it was kind of a thing that we were kind of prepping for us to make, a like a team Rex squad for Split 6. um, Things kind of fell through, and it is what it is. But now we're up against each other, and that kind of was what kept the competitive integrity for me. Was like this environment and this organization just really nice, super inviting. So
So in this case, it turned into a case of if you can't join them, beat them.
yeah, absolutely.
What's it been like adapting to that team environment that the LCUS provides, as opposed to like playing solo queue or maybe flex with your friends?
Yeah, so kind of. It's pretty interesting, especially with the fact that Clash is now a thing. Because when we're talking Split 5, Clash was still like beta. Like I think we only had like 1 week, maybe 2 weeks of Clash that came out at that time, and
Right.
both weeks they like broke because
Yep.
Riot wasn't ready for it. But
Yep.
it's been some time since then, and Clash is out now. Now, granted, I haven't done a whole lot of Clash personally, um, so I feel like this is kind of an interesting thing. I have done Clash in the past. I just haven't done a lot of it. It feels very similar, but in this sense, you have a lot more time to prep. You have time to practice, get to know your team, practice champions, um, do VOD reviews, that kind of stuff.
And the
So
scouting is just so much more sensible.
true, yeah, because it's not. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, right? Did actually a really good job with how they do the scouting for um
They did really good for the tools that they had available to them. Some things you just can't do in client as clearly.
yeah. I find myself the couple of times that I did do Clash, I found myself with like op.gg up and just typed in their names just to
Mm-hmm.
get some more information. But I do like the fact that they show like this is what this player has played in Clash, and separating those super cool. But seeing like, hey, was this person playing in like solo queue gets a
Right.
good idea.
So some of that is extra information that maybe the last time they played Clash was like 2 years ago, and those champions aren't relevant anymore.
Right. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. I mean, even when we're talking like solo queue, it's kind of nice being able to kind of like fall back on to like your team and make sure that your team has support, um, and your team is supporting you. Uh, no matter what kind of lane is suffering, it's being able to communicate in more of a justified way of going, hey, you know, for example, let's say like mid lane is behind and you go, okay, hey, I'm going to focus on top and bot. Just try to stay safe. Being able to actually have that communication without just like solo queue flame is so much better. It makes life a lot easier, especially as a jungler.
Oh, absolutely. And looking to the future here, as we're kind of wrapping this up a little bit, you're up against Team Phoenix next week.
Yeah.
Uh, do you have any thoughts on that matchup? I'm not gonna ask you to leak your strategies against them, but how does the squad feel about going up against them?
Yeah. So we did talk. It was mentioned a little bit between um the guys in the team, and honestly, we feel like Team Phoenix, with the fact that White Wolf was able to take a game off of them, that if we kind of review how our O2 week went, and we kind of look into it and try to fix what mistakes that we did and kind of make ourselves more of a well-oiled machine, we should have no problem getting a 2-0 this upcoming week.
All right. Do you have any closing thoughts? Any trash talk you want to lay down here before we wrap things up?
Um, other than just kind of pointing at Greg and saying like, hey, now that we're in the league, I'll see you. I'll see you in 2 weeks, and expect to lose lane.
All right, Greg, you hear that? The gauntlet's been thrown down. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Slack. It's been great talking with you, getting all that insider insight, and I wish you the best of luck in the rest of the split.
Yeah, appreciate you for interviewing me and inviting me to do this, and yeah, we'll see how the rest of the split goes, and hopefully we can get 9 lives trophy.